Hi everyone! Today we're continuing the series on the Enneagram types. In some of my previous videos I've already discussed Enneagram types 1, 2 and 3. So today we're going to talk about Enneagram type 4, the individualist or the romantic, as some other people call it. So all about that in the next few minutes. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's dive in. So, Enneagram 4. As I was talking in some of my previous Enneagram videos where I talked about the 3 different triads, in this case we're talking about Enneagram 4 being part of the heart triad. Okay, this is the primary triad that we are referring to, or the intelligence center. And together with types 2 and 3, Enneagram 4 is also a shame type or an embarrassment type. Okay, if you remember, this heart triad is directly connected to the identity issues. Types 2, types 3 and 4 are all concerned with this image that they are projecting to the world, and what other people might understand about the particular self-image or perception that they kind of light outside of them. And because of that, each of these Enneagram types develops a specific strategy to kind of stand out and have their identity appreciated by other people, because deep down they are afraid that without that they do not deserve to be loved. So in the case of Enneagram 4, we are talking about a need to stand out, a need to be unique, a need to be different than everyone else in the group. Okay, while type 2 tries to be different by doing things for other people all the time, putting their needs first, and so on and so forth, type 3 does a similar job of going outside of themselves and producing, being very good at things, having exceptional results, having exceptional achievements, and so on. Type 4 is more concerned with how one actually is. That's why you will often see that 4s tend to be more withdrawn. Okay, in another Enneagram classification they are called a withdrawn type, and that's because they constantly look inside to try to understand who they are. And of course this is both a good thing and a bad thing, as it is the case with all Enneagram types in their average state. Of course it is a good thing because Enneagram 4s tend to be some of the most self-understanding, self-insightful people we know, because they spend so much time trying to understand who they are. But at the same time, whenever this gets exaggerated as a tendency, we will notice that these people struggle a lot with really connecting with others. Because of this desperate need to be different and unique, they might forget that it is really important to also find commonalities, to also find things that they share, that they have in common with other people. And this creates some sort of chaos for them, because at some point they will start feeling overwhelmed by their emotions. They will start feeling like, okay, if I'm not different enough, then I'm not really worth anything. It's like I work in this place and every single person is the same. I cannot be the same, because that means I'm not good enough. That means that I do not deserve to be loved. Okay? So if we look at the entire Enneagram circle and we look at what other types Enneagram 4 is connected to, we find connections with 2 other types. Enneagram 1 is the type where Enneagram 4 moves in times of health and development. Okay, so we know generally that Enneagram 4 tends to be quite withdrawn, tends to be quite introspective, focused a lot on their inner thoughts and feelings. However, after developing themselves, after becoming healthier and learning, they start realizing that it's not enough to only reflect, to only understand, but it's also important to act. This is why they start moving in their energy towards Enneagram 1, and they start doing things to accomplish their goals. They start setting goals, they start setting standards for themselves and their work, and they start disciplining themselves to actually make concrete steps forward in that direction. And this is usually a really good sign for 4s, because they realize that it's not just about who they are, it's also about what they do. And a very interesting thing is Enneagram 3 is quite the opposite, right? They are so concerned with doing that they forget to be. So in this way, I think 3 and 4 can really learn from each other and inspire each other quite a lot, okay? Now, what happens to Enneagram 4 in times of stress, in times when they feel overwhelmed, when they're going through a lot of, issues and problems and so on and so forth? Well, 4 starts going to 2. And in this case, Enneagram 4 adopts some of the unhealthy characteristics of type 2. They become very focused on people-pleasing. They become very focused on receiving this validation from other people, receiving love for other people. And instead of, focusing on giving to others from a place of kindness, of empathy, they start giving to others because they expect to get something in return. And honestly, I've seen quite a lot of Enneagram 4s making a big deal or making a very dramatic moment in situations where they feel like, oh, they're doing so much for others, but others are not giving them the attention that they want. So they might throw in a tantrum, they might make a scene, they might become very dramatic, and that's because they really expect deep down others to give them that love and appreciation back. Okay? So it's very important for Enneagram 4 to realize when they start moving in this direction, and this can actually constitute a red flag for them, something that they might really, really, really need to consider and think about, okay? Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that there are other things that we can look at when it comes to the Enneagram, not just the classical grouping into the heart, head, and gut triad, but also the other classifications. And Enneagram 4 is also seen as a withdrawn type and at the same time as a reactive type. I talked a little bit about the withdrawn type, and now I would like to draw your attention to what reactive means. Okay, so together with types 6 and 8, Enneagram 4 is a reactive type. This means that in emotionally charged situations, they tend to have very strong emotional responses. And we will see this with 4, 6, and 8 always. Okay, they tend to react very intensely, even dramatically, to the events that happen to them, and might make a bigger scene than other people would expect. At the same time, they also expect very intense emotional reactions from other people. And they might become very critical of others if those other people are not also being affected by those things. You will notice 4s together with 6s and 8s saying something like, well, this is a really horrible thing that is happening right now. I'm upset, I'm stressed, I don't know, really concerned with that. Why are you not? How dare you be happy? How dare you be relaxed? How dare you see the situation in an optimistic fashion? And this is where they really benefit from interacting with people from the positive outlook group, so types 2, 7, and 9, that can kind of calm them down and help them see the more, positive, optimistic scenario as well. And of course, the positive outlook triad, so types 2, 7, and 9, can also learn a lot from the reactive group, because in contrast to the reactive group, the positive outlook group is very much focused on always seeing the good side of things, or romanticizing problems, avoiding conflict, avoiding confrontation, and so on. So they can learn from types 4, 6, and 8 by also understanding that sometimes it's a good thing to face your problems and to talk about the uncomfortable truths. So in this way, the two groups can really stimulate each other and help each other grow. Okay, so these are my thoughts on Enneagram 4. What is the core desire? How Enneagram 4 starts looking like in times of stress, like Enneagram 2, an unhealthy version of the Enneagram 2, and how Enneagram 4 starts behaving and appearing like in times of happiness, in times of relaxation. And this is when 4 moves towards Enneagram 1, doing, applying, fighting for their goals. What else would you add? Are you an Enneagram 4 yourself, or do you know someone close to you that is an Enneagram 4? Please feel free to share your thoughts below. And again, if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe.